What do you call someone who went as far as undergoing surgery, just to enlarge her chest, only to betray the very friend who took her in and helped her when she had nowhere to go? Inhumane, right? That was the story of Nene, and the friend she accepted from the streets, Idara. And when Idara did what she did without any regret, she thought it was over. But was it? Because even though Nene had walked away in tears, betrayed by the same woman she once sheltered, and even though Idara had won, or at least thought she had, as she finally had the man, the money, and the attention she always wanted, what she didn't know was that karma was watching silently. And sometimes, what you call victory is only the beginning of something you never see coming. Stay till the end to find out what happened next, because this is one of the most shocking and painful stories of betrayal and the consequences of sowing the wrong seed you'll ever watch. Nene had just walked into her lover's home unexpectedly, and what she saw broke her into pieces. The man she loved, Kelvin, was caught red-handed with Idara, the very person Nene once called her friend and gave shelter to. And in that moment, Kelvin stood frozen in the middle of the sitting room, his body cold and heavy with silence. The sound of Idara's breath beside him felt distant, muffled by the echo of Nene's trembling voice still ringing in his head. Her words had been sharp, trembling with pain when she said, "It's over, Kelvin. You and I are done." She had walked out, tears streaming down her face, and the door had shut quietly behind her. No shouting, no fighting, just that painful calm that told him he had truly lost her. For a long time, Kelvin stood there staring at nothing. His chest rose and fell heavily as the weight of his decision began to sink in. Idara stood a few steps behind him, her dress slightly loose, her face still carrying that smug satisfaction. But Kelvin's mind was far away. He grabbed his car key from the table and stormed out, leaving Idara calling after him. "Kelvin, where are you going?" But he didn't answer. Minutes later, his car screeched to a stop in front of Nene's compound. He hurried inside, hoping to find her, maybe to apologize, maybe just to beg her to listen. But when he entered the compound, the sight before him broke him completely. Nene was already packing her things. 2 boxes stood by the door. She was wearing a plain t-shirt, her eyes red from crying. Kelvin froze. "Nene," he whispered. She didn't even turn immediately. She zipped her bag quietly, then looked at him with swollen eyes. "What are you doing here, Kelvin?" He took a deep breath, trying to find words. "Please, don't do this. I'm sorry for everything. I didn't plan for—" She cut him off. "You didn't plan to cheat on me with my friend? Or you didn't plan to hurt me like I don't have blood in my veins?" Her voice cracked. She dropped the bag and faced him properly this time. "I gave you everything, Kelvin. I stood by you. And you do this to me?" Kelvin swallowed hard. "Nene, I know I messed up. Please, just stop," she said, shaking her head. "It's over, Kelvin. I'm done. I won't fight over a man who can't even see value in loyalty." Before Kelvin could respond, a familiar voice broke into the tension. "Well, it's about time," the voice said. Both of them turned, and there Idara was, standing boldly at the entrance, smiling proudly, her handbag on one shoulder. Kelvin's eyes widened slightly. "Idara, what are you doing here?" Idara chuckled. "What do you mean? What am I doing here? I came to settle something once and for all." She walked in with slow, confident steps and looked directly at Nene. "You don't need to pack anything, Nene," she said coldly. "This house? The rent. It's all Kelvin's money. And from today, it belongs to me." Nene blinked, confused at first. "Are you really sane?" Idara stepped closer, tilting her head proudly. "Yes, you heard me. And I am 100% sane. Even that 3 million you gave me, the one you claimed was from your heart, it was Kelvin's money. You never helped me, Nene. You were only doing what he could afford." She placed her hand gently on Kelvin's chest, looking at Nene with a wicked smile. "And this man you're crying for?" she added softly. "He deserves the best, and he's getting it now. From me." The silence that followed was deafening. Nene's lips parted slowly, disbelief written all over her face. She turned to Kelvin, searching for something. Anger, denial, anything. But what came next shocked Nene even more to her bones. Kelvin just stood there, frozen. He didn't even push Idara's hand away. It was like he was under a spell. Nene's eyes welled up again. "Kelvin? You're silent?" she asked in a shaky voice. Still, Kelvin didn't react further. He just looked down and let Idara's hand linger even more on him like she owned him now. Nene's mouth trembled. Her tears finally fell. "So that's it," she whispered. "After everything, you choose her?" Yet, Kelvin said nothing. Nene wiped her tears, her voice barely audible now. "I wish you both the life you deserve," she whispered. She picked up her bag and walked out, completely broken now. Idara stood tall, watching her go, a small smile curled at her lips. To her, this was victory. And weeks passed. Social media soon caught wind of a new-it couple, Idara and Kelvin, flaunting their love at restaurants, lounges, and high-end events. Pictures flooded Instagram, smiling faces, matching outfits, captions like, "My ride or die and forever mine." Even Nene couldn't escape it. Her friends sent her screenshots, thinking she didn't already know, each one cut deeper than the last. One evening, she sat quietly in her room, scrolling through her phone. Every picture of them together stung like salt on a fresh wound. Then a soft knock came on her door. "Nene?" a calm male voice called out. Nene looked up. It was Nick, Idara's ex. The same one Idara had once mocked as broke. She quickly wiped her face and forced a smile. "Nick, what are you doing here?" He smiled gently. "I heard what happened. I just came to check on you." The tears she had been holding finally broke free. "Nick, I tried. I really tried. I loved him. I helped her. And they both—" Her voice cracked as she covered her face. Nick placed a hand on her shoulder softly. Hey, stop crying. Some losses are blessings in disguise." She looked up, tears glistening in her eyes. "How can betrayal be a blessing?" He smiled faintly. "Because sometimes what walks away was never meant to stay." And at that moment, she breathed shakily and nodded slowly. Nick stayed a while, helping her pack the last of her things, telling her stories to make her laugh again. And for the first time in weeks, Nene smiled, a small, fragile smile. Meanwhile, across town, things were starting to shift in Idara's world. At night, she'd wake up clutching her chest, feeling a sharp pain spread across her body. At first, she ignored it. She'd massage the area, take painkillers, and pretend it was nothing. But soon, the pain became unbearable. Her breasts swelled painfully, and sometimes a strange, clear fluid leaked out. One night, Kelvin woke to her quiet sobs. "Idara," he said, sitting up. "What's wrong?" She quickly wiped her tears, claiming it was nothing but just stress. He frowned. "You've been saying that for days. Are you sure you're okay?" "I said I'm fine," she snapped. Kelvin sighed and lay back down, though he couldn't shake the worry in his chest. The next morning, Idara stood in front of her mirror, staring at her reflection. Her skin around her chest was red and tender. She pressed it gently and winced in pain. Tears welled in her eyes. But then she grabbed her makeup brush and began covering it, layer after layer, until the redness disappeared. She wore a fitted top and smiled faintly at the mirror. "No one needs to know," she whispered. "Everything is fine." But deep down, she knew it wasn't, because that was when the cracks began. Weeks passed, and Idara's fake confidence started to crumble. She woke up crying silently some nights, pressing a pillow to her chest to ease the pain. Her body no longer felt like hers. It felt heavy, burning, and wrong. Finally, one afternoon, she sneaked into a small clinic. The doctor, a middle-aged man with tired eyes, examined her quietly before sighing deeply. "You have an infection," he said. "The implants are not sitting well. If you don't treat this immediately, it might spread." Idara's heart pounded. "Spread? You mean—" "Yes," he said gently, "to other parts of your body." She swallowed hard. "How much will it cost?" He scribbled something on a piece of paper and handed it to her. The number made her gasp. She folded the paper and walked out, her legs trembling. That night, she finally told Kelvin. He was shocked. "Why didn't you tell me earlier?" "I didn't want to worry you," she whispered. Kelvin rubbed his face. "Don't worry, I'll handle it." And he did. He paid for her tests, her medication, her follow-up appointments. He drove her to clinics, waited in hospital lobbies, even missed meetings to take care of her. He spent a lot on her health. And slowly, his business started to crumble. Contracts fell through. Clients stopped calling. He didn't tell her. But every night he'd sit in his car for minutes before driving home, just to breathe and clear his head. Idara, meanwhile, would stare at herself in the mirror, the swelling still visible, her fake confidence fading by the day. And for the first time since she won, she realized something, maybe what she fought for, wasn't worth it after all. The next morning, the unexpected happened. Kelvin stood by the doorway, watching her. His eyes were tired, darker than they used to be. He didn't know what else to do. He had tried doctors, injections, painkillers, creams. Nothing worked, and every week, something new went wrong. Idara's chest would swell, then bruise, then leak again. "Idara," he said softly, "we can't continue like this." She looked up weakly. "What do you mean?" she asked in shock. "I mean," he said, rubbing the back of his neck, "we've spent almost everything. My savings are gone, my business is suffering, and you're not getting better. Maybe you need to go abroad for treatment." She gave a weak laugh, tears welled in her eyes. "Abroad? With what money?" Kelvin exhaled heavily and sat down, staring at the floor. "I don't know, Idara. I really don't know." The silence between them was heavy. He glanced at her chest, and she quickly covered it with her towel, embarrassed. "I didn't ask you to do this," he said finally. "You chose it. You chose all of this." She swallowed, her voice shook. "Kelvin, please don't start now. I did it for confidence. I did it to look beautiful. For you," he scoffed, shaking his head. "For me? Number. You did it to get attention, Idara, to feel better than everyone else. But look at you now. You can't even hug without crying from pain." His words stung. Tears spilled down her cheeks, but he didn't stop talking. "Since you came into my life, I've been losing everything," he continued, his voice rising. "Contracts gone, clients gone, money gone. You think I don't notice? You brought bad luck into my home." Idara gasped. "Kelvin, don't say that." "Then what should I say?" he snapped. "I left a good woman for you. I threw away peace for this chaos." He stood abruptly, running his fingers through his hair in frustration. Idara began to cry harder. "Kelvin, please, don't talk like that." But he was done listening. He grabbed his keys and stormed out of the house. The sound of the door slamming echoed through the room, bouncing off the cold walls. Idara sat there helpless. Her chest throbbed harder and she curled up, crying uncontrollably now. The next few days were worse. Kelvin stopped coming home early. Sometimes he didn't come home at all. When he did, he barely spoke to her, just dropped his briefcase and collapsed on the couch. His friends noticed the change too. One evening at the bar, Tony, his closest friend, shrugged. "Bro, you're still with that babe? That girl is ruining you. She isn't a blessing. She is a problem." The table went silent for a moment. Kelvin wanted to argue, but deep down he knew he was right. He left the bar early that day and sat alone in his car for a long time. He didn't even start the engine. He just stared into space, the words replaying in his head. She isn't a blessing, she is a problem. That night, when he finally got home, Idara was sitting on the floor beside the bed, tears streaking her face. The room smelled faintly of medicine and pain. "Kelvin?" she whispered when he entered. He didn't answer. He dropped his keys on the table and sat on the edge of the bed, exhausted. "You're ignoring me now?" she asked. He sighed heavily, rubbing his temples. "I don't know what to say to you anymore, Idara." She crawled closer and held his hand. He looked at her hand, then at her. For a second, pity flickered in his eyes, but only for a second. Then he stood and walked toward the door. "Get some rest," he said coldly. And just like that, he was gone again. Idara stared at the door long after it closed. Her chest hurt, her heart hurt even more, and for the first time she began to wonder if this was her punishment. But while Idara's world was falling apart, Nene's was quietly being rebuilt. It started small, a decision she made one morning when she looked at her reflection and said to herself, "I can't cry forever." She used the little savings she had left and started a small fashion business, designing simple clothes and selling to customers. Her hands were always busy, and her heart slowly healed with every piece of fabric she cut. Nick became a constant in her life. He'd stop by every day, helping her set up the shop, bringing snacks, cracking jokes just to make her laugh. Sometimes, when she looked at him, she remembered how she once thought love only meant fancy restaurants and expensive gifts. But Nick showed her something else: peace. But for Idara, her health became even severe, and she was rushed to the hospital for urgent medical attention. That day, the hospital room smelled faintly of disinfectant and hopelessness. Idara sat by the edge of the bed, her hospital gown slightly open around her shoulder. Her chest was wrapped in fresh bandages, and every small movement made her wince in pain. Across from her, the doctor flipped through her medical file, his expression grim. He cleared his throat. "Miss Idara, the infection has spread deeper than before. We managed to clean the area, but..." Her eyes widened. "But what?" The doctor sighed. "Even after surgery, the tissues may never fully recover. You might lose sensation. The damage might be permanent." Idara's heart dropped. "Permanent?" she repeated. "I'm sorry, but yes," he said gently. "There's nothing we can do. However, you'd need plenty of rest to improve." She nodded slowly, fighting back tears. When Kelvin came in later that day, she looked at him like she was seeing her only lifeline. But Kelvin's face looked drained and tired. He had sold his second car just to pay for the surgery. Even the wristwatch he once loved was gone. All his savings, gone too. He placed a small bag of fruits on the table and sat down quietly. "Thank you for doing this for me," Idara whispered, trying to smile. But Kelvin didn't look at her. "How are you feeling?" he asked coldly. "It still hurts," she said softly. "But the doctor said I'll need rest to improve." Kelvin nodded but didn't respond. His silence filled the room heavier than her pain. After a while, she asked, "Kelvin, what's wrong?" He looked up. His eyes were dark and hollow. "Nothing. I'm just tired." But she knew something had changed. The way he looked at her wasn't the same anymore. The love, or whatever it used to be, was gone. That night when she was discharged, he drove her home quietly. No music, no talking, just silence between them, thick like smoke. Days passed, and the distance between them grew. Kelvin started leaving early for business meetings. Sometimes he didn't return until late at night. When Idara called, he'd reply in short, cold sentences. "I'm busy. I'll call you back." Or sometimes, no reply at all. One evening, Idara sat on the couch scrolling through her phone, waiting for him. The wall clock struck 11 p.m. Still no sign of Kelvin. She dialed his number again, but this time it was switched off. Her stomach tightened. She called again. Still off. The next morning, she tried again. No answer. Something told her to go and check on him. By noon, she found herself standing outside Kelvin's house. She hesitated for a moment before knocking. And the moment the door opened, Idara's eyes widened to what she was seeing. Someone stood there. But it wasn't Kelvin. It was a woman. A beautiful woman in a silk robe. "Yes? Who are you?" the woman asked, her brows slightly raised. Idara blinked, confused. I'm looking for Kelvin." The woman tilted her head. "Oh, you mean my Kelvin?" Before Idara could respond, Kelvin's voice came from inside. "Who's at the door?" The woman turned slightly. "Some lady asking for you." When Kelvin appeared, Idara's heart sank. He looked surprised, but not guilty, just disgusted to see her. "Kelvin?" she whispered, her voice trembling. "Who is this?" He rubbed his forehead. "Please, Idara. Not here." "Not here?" she repeated, her voice cracked. "I've been calling you for days." "You didn't answer. I was worried sick, and now—" "Please leave," he said coldly. She froze. "What?" "I can't do this anymore," he added. Idara's mouth fell open. "You're leaving me?" Kelvin took a step closer, his voice low. "You're not the same person I thought you were. My life has been chaotic since you came. I can't keep living like this." Idara's eyes filled with tears. "So after everything I've been through? After I risked everything?" He cut her off sharply. "Did I hear you say you risk everything?" "Number. I didn't ask you to do that surgery, Idara. You did it for yourself. For attention. For vanity." The other woman crossed her arms, watching silently from behind him. Idara's lips trembled. "Kelvin, please. Don't do this to me." He shook his head slowly. "You should go." Her knees weakened. She could barely speak. "Kelvin, please." "Idara, leave," he said firmly. And this time she saw it clearly. The same coldness that once sat in her eyes when she betrayed Nene. She backed away slowly, tears streaming down her cheeks. The door shut quietly in her face, cutting her out of his life. Just like that, Idara walked home that evening under the setting sun. The world around her looked blurry, not because of the fading light, but because of her tears. By the time she reached her apartment, she was trembling. Her chest hurt, her head ached, and her heart, it was shattered. She sat in front of the mirror, staring at her reflection. Her skin looked pale. Her once perfect body was now covered in scars and bandages. The woman staring back at her didn't look like the confident Idara she once was. She touched her chest gently and flinched from the pain. Her mind drifted to Nene, the only person who ever truly helped her, the one she betrayed. And suddenly, the memories hit her. The night she moved into Nene's house, the laughter they shared, the warmth, the friendship, and how she destroyed it all. Tears spilled again. She picked up her phone. Her hand shook as she scrolled to Nene's number. Her thumb hovered over the call button for a long moment. Then she dropped the phone back on the table. "I can't," she whispered. Shame flooded her chest, heavier than the pain itself. In her head, she heard Nene's voice, calm, broken, but strong. "You'll always lose what you get through envy." Idara let out a deep sob and covered her face with her hands. For the first time, she realized how far she had fallen. She didn't just lose Kelvin. She lost herself. She turned back to the mirror again. The woman staring back wasn't glamorous anymore. Her eyes were sunken, her lips pale, her once proud posture gone. Her body, the same one she risked everything to perfect, was now scarred, painful, and disfigured. And in that quiet, lonely room, she whispered the words she once mocked others for saying, "I wish I could go back." But time, just like trust, never goes back. She lowered her head, crying until sleep finally took her. Not peacefully, but with the weight of everything she had lost pressing on her chest, like a curse she placed on herself. The next day came quickly. It was a quiet Saturday morning. Nene was arranging some fabric samples she would take to her fashion studio when she heard a soft knock on the door. At first, she ignored it, thinking it was one of her neighbors. But the knock came again, slower, weaker this time. "Who is it?" she called out. But there was silence. Then a faint, trembling voice answered, "Nene, please, open the door." The moment she heard that voice, Nene froze. It was a voice she hadn't heard in months. Shaky, fragile, but unmistakable. She hesitated for a few seconds before walking to the door. Her hand lingered on the handle for a moment. Then she slowly turned it open. The moment the door creaked open, Nene couldn't believe who she was seeing standing there. It was Idara, or what was left of her. She looked nothing like the glamorous woman who once boasted and walked with pride. Her skin was pale and dull, her face sunken, her body thin and frail. Her once perfect chest was now bandaged under her loose blouse, the faint smell of medicine clinging to her clothes. Her lips trembled as tears filled her eyes. "Nene," she whispered in a breaking voice. "Please, forgive me." For a long moment, Nene just stood there, shocked and speechless. She couldn't believe the woman standing before her was the same Idara who had destroyed everything between them. Idara fell to her knees, sobbing uncontrollably. "I lost everything, Nene. Everything. Please forgive me." Nene's heart ached as she watched her cry. She stayed silent for a while, just staring, the memories flashing before her eyes. Finally, she sighed softly, her voice calm. "You don't owe me words, Idara," she said gently. "You owe yourself peace." Idara looked up. Her tears flowed down like rain. "I don't have peace, Nene. I don't even have myself anymore. I lost everything, even the man I betrayed you for." Nene took a small step closer, her tone steady but soft. "You didn't lose him, Idara," she said quietly. "You lost yourself first." The room went silent. The only sound was Idara's quiet sobs. For the first time in months, both women stood face to face, one broken by envy, the other healed by experience. Nene looked at her for a long moment before speaking again. "I don't have anything against you anymore," she said slowly. "You chose your path when you took Kelvin from me, and I chose mine, and decided to move on with someone better." "Someone better?" Idara sniffed, wiping her tears. Before Nene could respond, a male voice came from inside the house, calm, warm, and familiar. "Sweetheart, who's at the door?" Idara froze instantly. That voice, that particular voice, she knew it. Her breathing quickened, her eyes widened as the seconds stretched. Then Nene stepped slightly aside, and shockingly, standing there, was the person Idara least expected to see. It was Nick, her ex, the same man she had once insulted and humiliated, the one she had called broke, walked toward the door. He was dressed neatly, his face calm and confident. He didn't even look surprised seeing Idara all of a sudden, or even looking like this now. He came up beside Nene, smiled softly, and pressed a gentle kiss on Nene's forehead. "Everything okay?" he asked. Nene smiled faintly. "Yes, everything's fine." Idara stood there frozen, her mouth slightly open, her heart pounding as the reality sank in. Nick turned to her, giving her a small, polite smile. "Good morning, Idara," he said calmly. She could barely find her voice. You and Nene?" Nene nodded. "Yes, Idara. You see, your betrayal didn't destroy me. It opened my eyes. It made me realize Kelvin never really loved me. I thought I lost something worth keeping. But your betrayal made me find something better. Real love." Nick placed his arm around Nene's shoulder gently as she continued. "After you left, Nick stood by me. He helped me rebuild everything I lost. He was patient, kind, and real. The very man you once mocked, the one you thought wasn't good enough, he's the one who showed me what true love feels like." Idara's eyes filled with tears again. Her lips trembled as she shook her head slowly. No, this can't be happening. Nene took a deep breath and said softly, "It is baby girl. And thank you. You thought you broke me, but you only made me stronger. You thought you took my joy, but you gave me peace instead. You opened the door for me to find the right person, and now I'm happy." Nick nodded quietly, his expression calm as he spoke again. Life has a way of teaching lessons, Idara. Sometimes it just takes pain to open our eyes. Idara stepped back weakly. Her knees shook. Her breath hitched as the weight of everything she'd done crashed down on her. The lies, the betrayal, the greed, the pain. Her body swayed slightly, and Nene instinctively reached out to steady her. "Be careful," Nene said softly. Idara looked at her. Her tears spilled freely as she spoke now. "I don't deserve your kindness." Nene sighed. "Maybe not. But forgiveness isn't about who deserves it. It's about who needs peace more." Idara nodded slowly, her voice trembling. "I'm sorry, Nene. I really am, I know," Nene said simply. "And I hope you heal. From everything." With that, she gently closed the door. Idara stood there for a long while, staring at the closed door. Her tears fell quietly onto the floor. And in that silence, she realized she had lost everything she once thought mattered. Not just the man, not just the beauty, but herself. Karma visited, and she learnt the lesson in a way she'd never forget. Moral of this story: friends, sometimes the price of envy is far heavier than the reward of patience. Idara learned too late that you can't build happiness on another person's pain, and for Nene, she walked away hurt, but she found peace and built her life into something better, with the very man Idara once rejected. In the end, envy gave Idara nothing but scars, while patience gave Nene everything she truly deserved. Did you enjoy this story? Do you think Idara deserved what she got, or was it too much? Do you think Nene did the right thing by forgiving her? Let me ask you, was Idara's suffering karma, or just the natural result of her choices? And if you were Nene, would you have forgiven a friend like Idara after everything? Share your thoughts in the comments. And please, don't forget to like this video, share, and subscribe to African Tales by Emiday for more emotional, eye-opening stories that remind us of the power of choices and the lessons hidden in everyday life. See you in the next one.